Oh my god. Oh my god. How the hell does this make any sense? How is Barkov making 9.8 for 8 years and they gave Ekblad $13 million for 4? He's making more than Connor McDavid. So before we start this video, I want to point out that I went ahead and got a new camera, so hopefully the camera quality is a little bit better. Let me know what you guys think of that down in the comment section below. But yeah, so today we're going to be doing something that is an interesting concept that I thought of. Essentially, with all of this RFA kind of crap that's going on right now in the actual NHL, with how everything is working, I got an idea. And I went through every freaking player because you have to do it one by one because for some strange reason, you can't just do it all. We need better roster editors, EA, is what I'm getting at. But anyways, I went through one by one. It took me like 3-4 hours to change it. Every single player in the NHL is on a 1-year contract. Like, that's it. Everybody has a 1-year contract. There's nothing more than that. You can see there's Arizona. We go to Buffalo. Everybody's on a 1 year. You go to Calgary. Everybody's on a 1 year. We go to Chicago. Everybody's on a 1 year. McDavid has 1 year remaining. What I am saying is that at the end of the season, everybody's either going to get re-upped by their team or they're hitting free agency. So we could see guys get stupid amounts of money. Teams that had a good cap situation because they had players that were on just amazing deals now have to deal with the entire team. You have to re-sign your entire team and get yourself under the salary cap. So I think that this video is going to be super cool. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, to see what these star players get and how much priority their team puts on re-signing them. Also, we could see an offer sheet or two. I have no idea. So yeah, we're going to basically just jump in to this thing. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, so Anaheim kind of didn't really mess with things a whole lot. They went and got Tyler Myers there for $5.3 million. John Gibson got his extension for $6 million. Getzlaf, they extended him for a year at $6.7 million. They got Nick Ritchie locked up for a decent term as well. Tyler Toffoli, Chris Kreider, you know, they picked up a few players. All right, so here we go. Big contracts. So the Oats had to re-sign OEL. He has a $10.2 million contract now. Kessel got a $10 million contract. Clayton Keller got that $7 million deal. Chychrun got a $6 million deal. And Schmaltz's at $5 million. So this is what I wanted to see. How teams were going to have to restructure signing players that they had on really good deals that were expiring. So they don't have a goalie, though. Holy crap. They got Jimmy Howard and Brian Elliott. That's not good at all. So the Bruins ended up losing Marchand. He did not go back at all. But they got Pasta to basically 10 years over 7, which is good. Bergeron went on another sweetheart deal. 8.5 over 5. They got Krug for 8.7 over 3. Dustin Byfuglien, Eric Stahl, Kevin Shattenkirk, Jake DeBrusk there got him locked up. Okay, I see what's going on here. And they re-signed Tuukka Rask, $5 million for a year. So from the looks of it, the Sabres really didn't do anything. They just kind of re-signed all their players. I guess they got Rickard Rakell. That was the one addition, so 8.2 for 4. Re-signed Jack Eichel to 10 years. Or not 10 years, sorry, $10 million a year. But yeah, they really didn't do a whole lot. They didn't really add any like crazy players or anything that you're going to be like, whoa. But they did get Binnington, so they got a good goalie going forward. So the Flames honestly like really did like nothing. Like the GM just did nothing. Like as you can see, like the team is just trash. They let everybody walk. They didn't re-sign anything. They have a $67 million of cap space available. Like they just didn't do anything. All right, so here we go. Sebastian Aho has a 9.62 over 7, and they got Svechnikov for 8 over 7. Brody for a year at $8 million. Teravainen, they got 8 over 6. So they locked their big guys up for like a very decent amount of time, which is definitely interesting. They don't have a goalie though. They just decided that they were just gonna go without one. They don't need one, I guess. So the Chicago Blackhawks, and this kind of helped out the Blackhawks a little bit. So somehow Patrick Kane was like, you know what? I'll take $8 million, just about 9 for 3 years. Taves took a decrease. They signed Keith for $8 million for a year. They got Ryan Suter for 2 years at $7.5 million. Yeah, ADB signed for $6 million. It looks like they finally got rid of Brent Seabrook, unless they gave him a really cheap contract. So that definitely helped him out. They didn't really sign. He's non-existent at this point. I guess Chicago definitely has a little bit of a better situation. And they got Ben Bishop in free agency. So Chicago is once again looking good. So the Avalanche decided, you know what? I guess it's smart to just go ahead and re-sign Nathan MacKinnon. So $10.5 million for MacKinnon over 7 years. That's a sick contract for MacKinnon. Get your money, man. Rantanen 8.1 over 3. Landeskog is 8.5 over 6. They got Jakub Voracek for 9.1 over 1. They're just like, come play win a cup. Cale Makar locked up $7 million for 5. Kadri's at 5.6. They took Muzzin from Toronto, 5.9 for 3. This team is pretty impressive. They do have nobody in net, though. They have Mike Smith, So the Columbus Blue Jackets, they went ahead and got Werenski 7.8 over 6 years. PLD 7.5, basically 7.5 for 5. They got Tyson Barrie for $8 million over 1. Cam Atkinson is an 8.3 for 8 years. Thomas Hertl brought in. Okay. I see what was going on over here. Johnny Boychuk down there. Carl Gunnarsson, Trevor Van Riemsdyk. But, yeah, no real goalies. Yaroslav Halak is not a good starter. So, all right. So, Dallas, here you have it. Tyler Seguin, 6 years at 10.3. Jamie Benn is a 10.1 at 7 years. Radulov there, 4 over 8. Klinberg, $9 million for 1 year. Pavelski's on a $6 million for 1 year. Miro Heiskanen is on a 6.5 for 3 years. Esa Lindell, 5.8. They just locked these guys up, not for like a massive term. They actually kind of went without the term, but for money, holy crap, they were just throwing it around. But that's, this is part of the problem is when you throw it around in your forwards, you don't have a goalie. All right, so the Red Wings ended up getting Larkin and Mantha both locked up for 3 years at $8 million and change. Larkin's almost 9. Zadina's locked up for another 2 years at 4.6. They brought in Joe Thornton, gave him 3.5 for 1. Jakob Silverberg there, 4.6 for 5. So the Red Wings have $7 million in cap space available. I would assume that they're still rebuilding. As they also picked up Pekka Rinne and net. Now the Edmonton Oilers, they signed Connor McDavid for a 1-year contract at $12.5 million, and they gave Draisaitl $10.5 for 7 years. They just don't learn. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins basically resigned for the same. They brought in Adam Henrique for $7.5 for 4 years. Are you serious? They have $500,000 in cap space. Josh Manson for 5.3. Schultz, they brought back Schultz for 6.7. Puljujärvi, okay, whatever there. Travis Hamonic, 4 3/4 for 6 years. God, the Oilers just don't learn. Who do they have in net? Watch like Heiskanen be having like $6 million. They got Marc-Andre Fleury and Jacob Marsh. Okay, I see you, Edmonton. Florida Panthers got Bobrovsky on like a steal. How did he go from making $10 million to $5 million? This game sometimes doesn't make any sense. It's very interesting. But oh my god, how the hell does this make any sense? How is Barkov making 9.8 for 8 years and they gave Ekblad $13 million for 4? He's making more than Connor McDavid. What is this game? And they still have more cap space than the Oilers. Oh my gosh, this is just nuts. How does this even work? Louis Eriksson, I'm just going to let you guys look at that. That is insane. The Kings got Tarasenko. Okay, for 9.4. It looks like they lost Drew Doughty, so he went elsewhere. Kopitar there at 8.8. Zibanejad there. Elias Lindholm at 6.5. Okay. They definitely picked up a lot of like bottom. Like this team is not looking good. And John Quick's on a decent contract, I guess. All right, so Marchand went to Minnesota. So I've noticed a lot of the big guys have signed like 1 year, like $11 million contract. So that's what Marchand signed for. Dumba for 6, Spurgeon for 5 and a 6. Fiala is basically 4.5. Adam Larson, they decided he was worth 4.8, which I would argue with you that he might be. Gardner's over here. Zook is over here on his extension there, and you can see the rest of the players. Justin Williams left Carolina. That I don't believe. All right, so the Montreal Canadiens got Johnny Hockey. They took Johnny Gaudreau from us. I'm sorry to see you go, buddy. You know you're my favorite. But 9.3 essentially for Gaudreau. Weber there. Juin, they got 9.2 for 6 years, and they got Johnny locked up for a good amount of time too. Max Domi is 8 over 8, which is good. Kotkaniemi is 5.7 over 3. So they did some good decisions here. Dion Phaneuf, you gave Dion Phaneuf $1 million. Okay, whatever. Why are you still paying? Why are teams still paying Phaneuf? That is not a smart idea. Carey Price, that contract came way down, so they're definitely happy about that. So the Nashville Predators ended up losing Pekka Rinne to the Red Wings. He signed for like $4 million there, but UC Soros didn't even take $1 million to get him to stay in Nashville there, so that's what they did. Roman Josi is making 8.4. Backstrom leaves Washington. He's making 8.4. They got Matthew Tkachuk at 6.5. How does that work? What do these salaries sort out to? So 8-9, 8-4, 8-2, 7-6. Dougie Hamilton as well for 5, and they have about 700. And I think that they got a really good they got a good team. But again, Nashville's stress on defense is impressive. Okay, so the New Jersey Devils. So Taylor Hall's 9-7, Subban's 9-6, Hughes at 8 for 4, which ain't bad. Heischer got locked up for 8 for 6. Miles Wood is locked up for 6. So yeah, I would say that Bozak there, Brent Seabrook, they paid him $2.3 million. But they got Robin Leonard though, and they actually locked him up for a good contract too, 4.68. Like that's pretty good over what's only for a year. I take that back. All right, so the Islanders decided Raanta was worth 4.6, and you know I would argue that he could definitely be worth 4.6. That's not bad. But they took Noah Hannafin from the Flames here. Holy crap. Barzell only signed for 7 3/4 over 5. Like, how does that even work? Anders Lee is making $8 million there. Josh Bailey is 7.7, but Hannafin is a 9.825 over 7. That's a freaking contract and a half. Enjoy your payday. Thank you very much. Bobby Ryan, 1.85, Bogosian there. So yeah, they've got guys in the lower rank. For some strange reason, Panarin's contract, he decided he was gonna, and he signed for 8 years. He took an $8.5 million. He went from making $11 million to $8.5, and he was like, "Yeah, that's fine. 8 years, lock me up." Seth Jones locked up for $10.5 million. Vincent Trocheck is at 9.2 essentially. Holy crap! Trouba got 8. Oh my God, Yanni Gord as well. These contracts are just nuts, and they have nobody in net. They literally are starting a 76 overall in net. He's not even the starter. He's listed as a backup. Their starters listed at a 64 overall. So the Ottawa Senators got 3 good starting goalies there. They got Lundqvist, Varlamov, and Mrazek. So that's a decent 3-way tandem there. And they went ahead and got Sean Monahan there and Ilya Kovalchuk. They did not think that he was washed up or anything. Kevin Hayes down there, he's making 4.5. Connor Brown is making 6.7. Okay. Brady got locked up for a decent term at a decent contract there. Shabbat's decent as well. And Monahan for 8.4 over 7 is a really good contract as far as I'm concerned. Anybody else that we can see? Wayne Simmons got 2, basically 3 for a year. Not bad. Philadelphia Flyers had to give Claude Giroux just a hair over $10 million for 4 years, which... yeah, he probably should be making that. Provorov got 6.9, so about 7, 6.5 for, or 9.5 for Ghost Story over 7, so that's a good contract. Matthias Ekholm was 5.3, Jason Zucker 5.3, both for 6 years, so those are good contracts. Evander Kane for 5.32 for 4 years. Nolan Patrick's locked up too. Travis Sanheim. So yeah, you know, these Sam Bennett, they gave him $3 million for 2 years. Justin Ablocator finally making a contract fit for him at 1.5 for 1 year. That's a good contract. Not really because it's Ablocator, but that's good value. And okay, so it's only a year contract, but they locked Carter Hart up for 1 year at $3.3 million. So next up is the Penguins. I'm not going to switch over to the screen just yet. We're going to build some hype. Matt Murray for 1.85, 1 year, so that might come back and be a problem for them. But I want to know what you guys think Crosby's contract is and Malkin's contract, because they both didn't leave. Let me know in the comment section what you think they signed for before we flip over. How does this make any sense? Okay, so Crosby signed a 3-year extension, bringing him to 36, $10.5 million a year, whatever. Malkin is more, but he's older. Why? And then Letang as well. They're $10 million to Letang. We're just going to give $30 million in those 3 players. And they brought in Brent Burns for 7.8. Jake Gunsel, Zach Parise. They're paying Parise $6 million. Why? Why are you doing this? Erik Karlsson is making $12 million as well for 8 years. That's going to bring him to the time he's 38. Okay, Giordano, they got 5.6 for a year. That's a good contract. Timo Meyer's 6 for a year. Yeah, okay, you know what? Charlie Coyle there. Yeah, these contracts are fairly decent. So it does look like St. Louis took a pretty good hit to their firepower up front, but they got Ryan O'Reilly locked up 7 years, 8.3. That's a great contract. Blake Wheeler has a year. I mean, he's going to be 35, 7-2. Okay, Braden Shan, 4 years at 6.5. Also good. Now, the Parayko contract is one that is interesting to me because they got him for just about 5 for 5 years. That is a great contract. And, like, that's pretty much it. Like, they didn't really do a whole lot. They lost a lot of players. Didn't really bring a lot of guys in. All right, so the next 2 teams are going to be super interesting to see how they kept everything together because somehow they did. First up, the Tampa Bay Lightning. And oh my God, look at this restructure. There is $49 million in 4 players, and they somehow kept everything under wraps, and they still have $1.3 million. What? How do they still have $1.3 million in cap space? Their GM is, and they assigned them all for 6-year contracts. They're like, you know what? We'll worry about it in 6 years. We're not worrying about it right now. So Cooch for 10.5, Hedman for 10.6, Stamkos for 10.5, and Point for 9.4. All over 6 years. Just get them locked up, get it done. That's insane. McDonough, they kept around as well. Sergachev, they got him down. Oh my God, how did you do this? I mean, they're definitely like fall off on the back end. Like, as you see, there's like nothing there except for this Raymond guy who has insane trade value. But in net for them, they got Vasilevsky 8 years at $9.5 million. I don't know. I don't know how they do it. They do it in the video game. They do it in real life. I am so surprised here. This is just nuts. Like, how do you pull that off? How? I don't get it. Okay, so here's the Leaf situation. Tavares signed an 8-year contract for he signed it. Why would you ever do this? 8 years, 9.7. The Leafs barely have any space in cap space here. So 8 years, 9.745. Okay, whatever. Matthews is like, give me 11.5 essentially, and I'll play here 1 year. Morgan Riley, $10 million. What? They get William Nylander for 3 years at $10 million and Marner for 7 years at $9.5. They bring in Nick Leddy, got Kerfoot locked down, Duclair, Kasperi Kapanen, and what did he sign for? $3 million for a year. Okay, Liljegren is on that ELC still pretty much. Why would Tavares go that down in salary? Because of his age? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Freddie Anderson, they locked up for 8 years. That is smart. Get him for 6.5 for 8 years and get Big Save Dave to back him up. Like, that's a good decision. And they kept on Casimir Kaskisuo as well. Doughty got a 6-year contract with the Canucks at about $11 million. Brock Besser is making 8.9 essentially, so he's about a $9 million for 8 years. Pettersson is locked up at the same contract for 6 years. Horvat is about 8. Palmieri, Quinn Hughes, they got 6.36 for 5 years. So smart contracts for the Canucks, and that's the first time I can actually say this. For Tannen, they got 1 year at 1.250. Like, that's good. That's an intelligent decision. And they brought in Braden Holtby. Okay, yeah, the Canucks might be doing something smart for once. All right, so Vegas got Mark Stone on a $10 million contract, 10.25 for 7 years. And Jonathan Marchessault, they got for 9.5 for 7, so smart. Carlson got a pay increase. Stastny's there is that. Alex Tuch, Theodore Foligno. Okay, interesting. They gave Corey Perry 2.5 for 1 year. Okay, whatever. Let him go after that year. It's not a big deal. Andrew Ladd's making 1.5. That is great. That is great. That's what you love to see. So, Ovi took $7 million for 1 year. You're trying to tell me that Ovechkin would take $7 million? I don't believe that. They brought in Pietrangelo, though. He took 10.5. Carlson took 10. Evgeny Kuznetsov took 8 for 8 years? I guess he's just trying to make sure that fund is taken care of, if you know what I mean. Brendan Gallagher got 6.9 over 1. Orlov is 6.5 over 5. Like, how did they get these guys to agree to these things? Pat Maroon, 1.7, so he didn't even get it. Robbie Bortuzzo, and he got 1.5 there, and nothing fancy. Like, honestly, the contracts are nice. Who did they get for net, though? Like, that's what I'm curious, because they lost Holtby to Vancouver. Craig Anderson, so nothing. It's terrible. And Corey Schneider. Yep, that's awful. So Hellebuck is our last goalie. He got 5.5 for 1 year, so basically, like, we'll figure this out after the year is done. And Patrick Laine gets a $10.5 million 7-year contract. Scheifele's at 8.28 for 6. That's a freaking amazing deal. Kyle Connor, also a great deal at 8.4 over 7. Ehlers is another good deal at 8.5 over 4. Ryan Johansson comes in. Josh Morrissey, they got locked up to a good deal. My gosh, these contracts here. Troy Stretcher there, or Stetcher, sorry, I pronounced that one wrong. How did they manage to pull this off? This is super interesting. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. So we're going to keep it on the screen here of the highest paid player in the NHL, Aaron Ekblad. 24 years old. He's making more money than Connor McDavid. So hopefully you enjoy this video. If you guys have any ideas for other videos, definitely be sure to leave them down in the comment section. If you haven't seen the last video that I made, I actually went ahead and took the salary cap off and did kind of the same thing. It was awesome. There's going to be a link to that at the end of the video, so definitely go be sure to check that out. But other than that, I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for spending some time with me. Hopefully you got some enjoyment out of this. and I'll talk to you guys next time.